Hello and welcome to abbreviated version of Diaspora Weekly. My name is Jermaine Nkrumah. You're watching Diaspora Network Television, and I'm joined by Honorable Osei-Mensah, a very iconic figure within the African community in France, Paris to be specific. Welcome, Honorable. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And you, Jermaine?
Very good, thank you. I want to begin with a disturbing video that we saw on social media. French President Emmanuel Macron was doing his usual thing, meeting with people, and unfortunately, one person decided to be extremely rude and slap him. What is the background on that? Why did that happen? You seem to have some background information. What was it all about?
Yeah. After this COVID consequences, the president decided to go around the country to boost up the morals of the citizens so that we bounce back to normal life. So he went to a place, a region called Rome. And, the president has his supporters, and also he has people who are vehemently against his political strategy.
I guess which president doesn't?
This time
right?
around, pardon?
I said, which president doesn't? He has lovers and
Which
he has
president
haters.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why he had, his security details around him. So, when he got to where he met this guy, Damien Tarel, he thought if these people have taken the pains to come to meet him, they are definitely his supporters. But unfortunately for him, it wasn't the case. So at the first contact with the people, the guy took the advantage and gave him a slap. And that's how.
You said the report said that the guy said something before he slapped him. What did he say?
He said bonjour, ascending, and about la Macronie. I mean, to help with the Macron government in a way. To help with Macron. Macronie simply means Macron's governance.
Okay.
And he said about la Macronie. And about bonjour, Saint-Denis, it's something which is referred to. It says according to what the newsman said today, it's something which has gotten to do with the far right statement.
Okay.
Extremely.
Isn't that an abdication of responsibility by his security detail?
Well, I think they didn't do well. But when you when you take a good look at the video, you will see that the president, when he got out of his car, ran to the public.
Oh, he ran faster than his security detail.
Yes.
But they're supposed to keep up with him. They're supposed to keep up with him.
He didn't do so. He ran to the public. He's a young man,
Yeah.
And even though he's a very good president, no one is perfect.
Okay.
So he thought he had met his support, and he was running to them to cheer them up. Okay. And very unfortunately, the first person that he had contact with was, a hardcore enemy.
Right.
And he took the opportunity to give him a dirty slap.
You said he's a good president. Why do you say that?
Oh, I say he's a good president because one, he's a young man, full of energy, and also he's a guy who is full of wisdom. We weren't expecting a 39-year-old young man to govern France as he's doing. He's taking good care of us. Each and everyone, both migrants and French origin, have their place in this country. And also, he's been able to manage this COVID-19 pandemic very, very well in the country. So even though, the consequences are present, he's been able to curtail all all the bad consequences which could have hit the economy. He's been able to take care of all situations, and the economy is doing well, even though we have this COVID-19 pandemic consequences. He's taking care of entrepreneurs, workers, and each and everyone.
Okay, so
has had some sort of security in this bad times of humanity.
Okay,
he's done well.
Now we hear Africans always say that, oh, look, Boris Johnson is running to enter a train, a public train, and Macron dealing with the people. But when you come to Africa, the presidency is surrounded with big cars and everything, and we think it's a bad thing. When something like that happens, does it make the argument for the African leader that you don't take chances with people?
Well, one thing I regret with Africans, and you see, I don't like using the word African, but in this this situation, I think I can use it because I've always considered Africa as a continent, and Ghana is a country. We are very different from the other countries, even within the country Ghana, the tribes are very, very different. Somebody who is from Kumasi has different traditions and different ways of seeing things from somebody who comes from Paga or Boko. So I don't use, but under these circumstances, I can say let's use Africans, this thing that the Africans saying. They are not wrong. Africans, what I regret about us is that we keep belittling ourselves. We keep lowering the look out on our own selves. When you see Boris Johnson on a bicycle, how many times will Boris Johnson go to office on a bicycle? It might be some sort of leisure that he was taking. Boris Johnson has his security detailed, and when you go to the Downing Street, it's surrounded with guards all over. The same applies to the Buckingham Palace.
And Macron too.
And what are they talking about? I have videos of Macron's office. If you want, I can send them to you right now, and you will see the security guards over there. Macron doesn't move along. At least, if with the immediate evidence is that when he went for this lap, he went there with the detail. He wasn't on a bike.
Okay. So what you're saying is, I was trying to see if you agree with the stringent security details that African presidents tend to have that has attracted a lot of criticism from the people, the African people. You seem okay with that, right?
I am very, very okay with that because it doesn't cost anything. The security men are there.
Okay.
Whether they accompany the president or not, they are paid. And they have been trained for that. So if you don't use them, you still pay them.
Okay.
But if you use them, it means you beef up your security. So why do you leave them? Go about roaming on a bicycle, and when you get shot, what happens to the nation?
Okay.
When somebody slaps you, what happens to the nation?
Okay.
So don't focus on that. That is of no importance. Rather advantageous for the people, the president, in question.
Okay, so let me switch on. Let me go back to Macron being a great leader, as you mentioned, right? I don't know if you are aware, but within the Francophone Africa, within the Francophone countries in Africa, whereas the elites may like him, the youth absolutely hate him. Can you understand why?
German, people put much emphasis on negative things than on positive ones. So I'm not surprised that when it comes to this sort of analysis, people focus much on the negative statements, more negative statements than the positive ones. It's very, very easy to create an impression that somebody is disliked, especially if you're a journalist.
Actually, let me correct that. I had an interview with the president of the Malian Youth International. And he said about 95% of Malian youth hates Macron. And according to the population of Mali, 72% of Mali's population is 40 years or below. So 72% of the population of Mali, he says, out of that, about 95% dislike France, maybe not Macron personally. In fact, he began his conversation by saying, and I quote, France is the root of all evil in Mali. Do you disagree with him?
I disagree with him, of course.
Okay, why?
What is his basis of saying 95% of the youth are against Macron and 72% I hate France? I mean, he is saying it. Maybe he hates France. Maybe
he's the president of the Malian Youth International.
Doesn't matter. You know, I am the president of the Ghanaian community in France Council. If I make a state that Ghanaians in France hate German and Nkrumah, I mean, what does it mean? Have I made a survey or something about German?
So are you saying? So are you saying? Wait, are you saying?
Because I have something against you.
Okay. Are you saying Macron is loved?
That's all. Like me.
Are you saying?
How many people are that? I'm listening to you.
Are you saying Macron, from where you sit, Macron is loved within the Francophone countries in Africa?
It's not a matter of love. I would not use the word love, but I think there's a cordial collaboration between France and the Francophone countries. You know, France does a lot for the Francophone countries. I'm not saying that France is a sanctified country, and I'm not saying that Macron is a saint. But you know, we are all human, and we live with our perfections and imperfections. Much more of our impact with our imperfections than our perfection, because nobody is perfect. You see? So what happens is that we all collaborate from what we call the Francophonie, where all the speaking countries come together to collaborate. You also have this CEFA, which brings all the Francophone, most of the Francophone countries together and links them back to France. In terms of economy and other things. So it's a matter of collaboration. It's not a matter of love or whatever.
Okay. I'll give you one more instance. About a month ago, the opposition politician in Senegal, which is a Francophone country, was accused of rape of his masseuse. And the youth accused the government that they are wrongfully accusing him because he's gaining popularity, right? So it became a political impasse. And when the youth protested in Senegal, they specifically burned down French-owned companies. And that's a fact. Where do you think that anger is coming from?
Well, that has no sense. If somebody has raped someone, if I heard you well, position had raped, I mean, it's been accused of symbols. Where is the link?
Well, the link is this, that the youth calculated that because this particular politician, and his name is escaping me, he's of the younger generation, and he is anti-France. But Senegalese President Macky Sall is considered a puppet of France. And so when there was the political impasse and the boys hit the street to protest, They did not destroy any. They walked past Senegalese and other owned businesses and specifically targeted French-owned companies and burned them down. So I'm saying that you don't see that as indicative as a revolt against France?
No, if I get you well, then it means they did that as a revolt against Macky Sall, who has the support of France, right?
Right, right.
And well, personally, I don't see any intelligence in that. Why would you go? Macky Sall is a Senegalese. If you think he's not doing the right thing, why would you go and ban France symbols? You know, we live in in a modern world now. If you have things against France, come out and say it. You have institutions.
Okay.
We deal with such things. Come out in Senegal. Anything built in Senegal contributes to the beauty of Senegal. The France embassy, the Canadian embassy, whatever. So if you go to the France embassy or the Canadian face of, I think that we've got to get into mind. But if you have something against the French government or the Canadian government or whatever, come out and speak out. Of course, if really you are strong enough to come to France and do that, then come and let's speak. But don't stay in Senegal and ban things within Senegal. That's how I see it. I don't
well, what if they tell you? What if they tell you? What if they tell you that I don't need to come to France to tell Macron that I don't like him? I'm in my country and I'm telling you, leave my country. What do you say to that?
It's not that easy to tell people to leave your country. The world belongs to each and everyone. Once I'm in your country, once somebody is in your country legally and well documented, why do you ask him to leave? You know the number of Malians in France? You have a town close to Paris, just on the borders of Paris, called Montreuil. It's one of the biggest, the largest the Malian communities in the world. A town close to Paris. It's one of the largest Malian communities in the world. I want to say that the number of Malians that live in that town supersedes so many towns in Mali itself. And the Malians are all over when they come to France. They are everywhere. So what are you saying? You should ask the few French people who live in Mali to live in applies also to the Senegalese. We have huge Senegalese community. I'm in real estate and I have Senegalese tenants. I mean, I see every day who are doing very well. They work within the government. They are public servants. We have Senegalese lawyers, we have Malian lawyers, we have Senegalese doctors and Malian doctors. We have these people in all levels of life. So if you sit down in Senegal or Mali and say the French should leave, the population of this the citizenry of Mali and Senegal in France, it's about, I don't know, at least 20 or 30 times what the population that you have in this country.
So I agree with you.
Operate in ignorance. Let's go ahead.
Okay. I agree with you that in this modern day, it's not easy to tell people to just leave your country. But my question to you, now I want to switch to the post-colonial pact that France had with its former colonies. Do you think that post-colonial pact has been fair or unfair to the Francophone countries by your personal assessment?
You know, German life itself has never been fair. If not, that wouldn't have existed. Life is never unfair because what makes life unfair is not even the fault of life. It's also because we don't know what tomorrow is made of. You don't know what happens tomorrow. These colonial things came up at a certain era of humanity. And gradually, we've all been able to swim out. The question you and I ask myself that now that we are out, let's even come to we Ghanaians. You are a Ghanaian, I'm a Ghanaian. After our independence, 64 years after independence, are we doing well? Are we doing better than the colonial times? Is politics, are we even practicing true politics in our countries? Are we fair to each other? You see, whatever the answer be, especially if the answer is no, I'm not going to blame it on anybody. Because when Nkrumah was taking independence for Ghana, he didn't never know. Little did he know that he was going to be overthrown by the very people that he's seeking freedom for.
So if I hear you correctly, I'm hearing you say that you're not a fan of complete independence for African countries. Is that what I'm hearing?
But independence is just a word. Life, we are all interdependent. Be you an individual, a country, a town, or whatever. You know, me, I come from Asante Achimdomiabra. Before I can go to Accra, I need the roads in Jansa, Konongo, and Koko, and then someone. So I am connected to all these lines. I need the state transport. I need this. I need that together. You are on DNT now.
So you don't believe in the concept. You don't believe in the concept of political independence.
No, I think it's a beautiful word, which has to be, taken in quotes. When you say that a country is independent, what do you call independence? You call a country that goes for 170 million city loan as independent?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, because as an independent person, I can still walk to a bank and take a loan. That doesn't mean the bank has anything on me. It's just that I need a loan that I'm collecting that I'll pay back with interest. So I'm still maintaining my independence.
No, I get your point of independence. That's the English. But what I'm saying is that you need somebody to exist. When you go to the bank.
Okay, so yes, there's interdependence. No doubt about that.
To buy a house. Mm-hmm. When you go to the bank to take a loan to buy a house, you really own that house? Are you really independent in that house?
When I finish paying, yes. When I finish paying, yes.
You see, when you finish paying, but until you finish paying, you see. So I'm not saying that our countries are not independent. No, they are independent, but we have to understand the independence, the limits of independence.
Yeah, but it's not something. Honorable, what I'm trying to get from you is this: using your analogy, right? If I go to a bank and get a loan to buy a house, I owe money to the bank, but the house is in my name. I have my key. When I lock it, the bank cannot come into my house and say, "Oh, I gave you the money to buy the house, and so sleep like this, walk like this, and do like this." That's not practice. And it's a similar thing that we're saying, that you talk about interdependence. We take loan from them, they take natural resources from here. It's an interdependent relationship, okay? But why is it that one country has the option to determine, to influence your leadership and everything, but another country doesn't have a reciprocal relationship?
Okay. Now the world gradually is becoming a global village. We talk about countries, we talk about continents, but what is true is that any country which decides to dwell on its independence, independence as some of you see it, and any country with nationalistic ideas has it wrong. We've come to a point in this world. We've come to a point in this world.
United States celebrates Independence Day. Do they have it wrong?
What I'm saying is that we've come to a point in this world where people run out of their borders to seek their interest elsewhere. When you talk about the United States, You're talking about 52 states, and some of the states in the United States are even bigger than Ghana. What's the population of the United States? What's the population? Close to 300 million, right?
330 million.
So 330 million is about at least
about 10 times the population of Ghana.
Yes. So if you have an embassy in the US, the Ghana embassy in the US, and you have the US embassy in Ghana, it means Ghana is eating with the US. But when you go to table, when you have one Ghanaian, you have 11 Americans at the same table. So whatever Ghana brings on the table, you have only one Ghanaian eating at that table with 11 Americans. And when the Americans also bring food on the table, you still have the 11 Americans eating with one Ghanaian. So consider one person eating with 11 people, whether it is his food or the other person's food. How does it go? So what you need to do now is to go out of your borders and seek bigger interest. You know, even the US, big as it is, superpower as it is, has alliances with countries in Europe and other parts of the world.
But those alliances those alliances do not come into United States to try and influence, dictate to them who leads them, what they do, and all that stuff.
Yeah, but it's normal. It's normal. I mean, you agree with me that even within that alliance that the American has, it may still be stronger in that circle. You know, it's very, very simple. When you have money, you create a television station. You are the CEO, you are the director. Somebody who comes there to work, he is either the gatesman or, a clerk or something. He takes instructions from you. Mm-hmm. You see, the bigger you are, the bigger your shout is.
Okay, so what I'm getting from you then is this. Let me bring this to a very simple question. France's involvement in its former colonies, is it good or is it bad from your perspective?
It's going to be very easy for me to say good or bad. I think they are working. I want to say.
Do you approve? Do you approve or disapprove?
I much more on the positive side than on the negative side, because if all these francophone countries have agreed to collaborate with their former colonial master all these times, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm much more intelligent than them. They know the reason why they are still with France. They know what they get from France, and they know why they keep forging on. It doesn't mean that things can't change, depending upon what happens at various times. Things can change.
So let me get it straight. Okay, so let me get it straight, Honorable. When I told you about the Malian and Senegalese youth saying that they hate France, you were quick to disapprove and say it doesn't make sense. But when I ask you a question of whether France's relationship with them is good or bad, now you're saying that who are you to say whether it's good or bad? Isn't that double talk?
No, it isn't. I said, who am I?
You said who am I? But when it came to the youth, you didn't say, well, who am I to say? You specifically said that they were wrong. It doesn't make sense.
Who are they to say it's good or bad? Who is that person? Who is saying that the youth says, 95% of the youth says,
okay,
based on what? It's not correct. And I'm saying that I will not use the word good or bad, because who am I to say, to judge that? I'm not the Francophone president, and I'm not the French president, and I'm not into what happens between them. But what I know, I've been to several Francophone countries, and I know, honestly, that without the French backing, they wouldn't have been where they have reached.
Would you say that they are ahead of their Anglophone counterparts?
It's not a matter of being ahead. I don't believe in competition in life. Everyone is doing what what
No,
is
the reason
available to
I ask is that when you said that you've been there in those countries, and France, without France, they wouldn't have been where they
you see,
are. That will beg the question that are they farther ahead than the Anglophone countries? Which has a different...
well, it's not going to be easy to answer it straight away like that.
Okay.
I think they are doing what I like about these Francophone countries is that they are much more united than we, the Anglophone. Because there's
united
no
in how?
Let me explain. When you consider Sierra Leone, which is an Anglophone country, and Ghana, I mean, you don't see anything that links these two countries, maybe apart from embassies that they can have. It's the same applies to Liberia or even Nigeria, of all people. You see, apart from maybe the ECOWAS, which brings both Francophones and Anglophones together. When you consider these Francophone countries, at least they are united together, they are united by their currency. The CFA alone. We know money is economy, and economy is money. So once you have the same money, the same currency, it means that your economies are tied together. It widens your market. You know, economy is about market. Countries is about market. When you today you can manufacture anything anywhere, but when you manufacture
by that calculation, United Kingdom, which is not part of the EU, that doesn't use the euro, is doing worse than the remaining European countries who have one single currency, by your calculation, right?
Are you actually if it's doing well?
Yeah, you're saying that they're doing better because they have a single currency, right? They're more united, right?
It was an example I gave you. It was an example I gave you. But you know, beyond the currency issue, we have this Francophonie, and then you have the Paris Club, and so many other things that brings them together. You see, this I talked about creating alliances. I mean, countries coming together to create alliances to empower themselves. And Francophones, as I see today, have that sort of links that empowers them. You see, but now if you talk about the United Kingdom, which is not part of the EU, United Kingdom just got out of the European Union. They just got out of it. So nobody.
But they never use the currency. They never use the euro.
Yeah, they never use it. But you know, it's not about using the currency. It's about having some sort of alliance. You know, as I talk to you now, if you bring the Ghanaian cedi to France, nobody will change it for you. Nobody will change it for you. You don't have any forex bureau, foreign exchange bureau, which will change the Ghanaian cedi for you. But bring the CFA, they will change it for you immediately.
That's fine. I don't need to. Maybe I'll bring dollars. I'll change the dollar and bring it.
When you send the euro to the UK, they change it for you. When you bring the British pound sterling to France, they change it for you. It's all about the alliances.
Okay.
It's about the alliances and the connections that they have, the links that they've brought among themselves, which keeps uniting them. So it's not all about being independent and sitting somewhere hungry, having no jobs, having no good medication at hospital, whereby you have leaders, even the president and the vice or whatever, the ministers, when they are sick, they have to travel to other countries for medication. I mean, this defies our independence.
Yeah.
See, when you are independent, you must be able to take care of yourself within your borders. But when you have to go out for that, then you have to know that something is missing and you have to catch up somewhere. Because
on that agreement, I think we'd like to bring the conversation to a close. I really first want to thank you for taking time to speak with me. My final departing question to you is this: since we started talking about Macron, right? I want you to grade Macron. You are a lecturer, and you've seen how Macron leads France and his relations with the Francophone countries. Put all that together and give him one grade over 100. what would that grade be?
Well, before I give the grade, I know your listeners and then your viewers would want to know what has happened to the guy who stabbed Macron.
Mm-hmm.
There has been a judgment this evening whereby he has been sentenced to 4 months imprisonment.
Okay, thank you for that.
He's been in jail, and he's been sentenced to 4 months. Actually, he was sentenced to 18 months, but 14 months under sursis, which I realize it's referred to as suspended judgment, suspended sentence in English. So he has four months solid, and then 14 suspended sentence. And
that's a light sentence for slapping the president, don't you think?
Very, very light. But you have technicians who are saying that very, very severe. In France, the technicians are saying that's very, very severe.
Would that encourage other people to try and make a name for themselves?
I agree with you, Chairman. I agree with you. My wife and myself do agree with you perfectly. And we suspect.
If I can make a name, if I can make a name for myself for slapping Macron and all I get is 4 months, that's very tempting.
And the guy is very, very proud. He was very, very vociferous in court today. He said a whole lot of things. He did a lot of politics, like JJ in his times in 1999 coup d'etat. You know, he created a platform for himself to become popular and also to make his statements, much more audible. So that's what has happened to him anyway.
Well, thank you.
Now
Macron's great.
But then now we're going to go to Macron's grade. That's about the guy going to prison. She still has the opportunity to appeal. And you know, this morning there were some rumors that the guy was going to base on the COVID-19 social distance.
Yeah.
But he didn't do so. He didn't need that.
Yeah.
He needed what has happened. It's what. Yeah. So that's about that for now.
Thank you for the update.
Now, if you ask me personally to grade Macron over 100, right?
Yeah.
I will give him 95.
95.
Yes. And I'm saying 95 because if I give him 100 or 99, people will see it as an exaggeration. So let's take
already people are going to throw this interview is going to air in throughout Africa. They're going to see it in Senegal and Mali, and I think you're going to make some enemies over there.
Well, I don't know. I don't see why I should make enemies. I just I just said what I think. People shouldn't necessarily agree with me. That's how I say it. We have to come out of our cocoon. We have to come out of our shelves and start looking out onto other worlds and seeking interest where our interests are and move ahead.
All right, Honorable Osei-Mensah, thank you so much. Next time I come to Paris, it's you and me. All right?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.